Hi, I'm Dr. Jamil Sayed, and on this podcast, we're going to talk about some deep stuff. I'm here to tell you that you're amazing, and often, the only person who can't see that is you. No matter who you are, what you do, or where you're from, there's greatness in you. Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Jamil Sayed, and welcome to the Transformation Starts Today podcast, where I interview leaders, champions, and high performers from all walks of life as they share their story, the lessons they've learned along the way, and empowering perspectives to help you create an extraordinary life without regret, starting today. Today we have with us Sanyika, the Firestarter Street. Sanyika is a speaker, executive coach, and one of the world's most powerful spoken word artists. As an executive coach, he helps leaders raise the bar in their business, their body, and most importantly, their being through his coaching program, the All In Tribe. His personal mission to help 1 million plus committed leaders go all in on creating a safer world in their business, body, and being through Brotherhood. As a writer, artist, and storyteller, he's told stories for the world's biggest brands, including Sony Playstation, Fox Network, the United States Department of Defense, Universal Music Group, Reach TV, and Inc. Global. The Firestarter has also ignited global audiences with his talk show, The All In Moment, which has a worldwide distribution of 75 million people. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Sanyika, the Firestarter Street. Sanyika, such an honor and a privilege to have you on the show. Welcome.
Indeed, brother. It's great to be here. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much. For our audience, just so they can kind of connect with this, I remember the first time I got to meet you. And so first it was one-sided. You were speaking at an event in January of this year, 2024 in Arizona. And I remember you came on stage and your presence was just so felt. And you just shared a message that just spoke to not only my heart, but I felt like everyone in the whole room. And you set the tone and the stage for the rest of the weekend. And then at the end, I was like, I really would love to hear from that guy again. And then the next day, you did it all over again. Right to the beginning of the event. And then at the end of the event, I remember getting to meet you at the VIP dinner. And we just got to shake hands, connect. I let you know that your message really resonated with me. And I knew in that moment that at some point I wanted to have you on the show. And so I'm so grateful that you're here. And I think that what you have to share is going to just electrify our audience and really help them shift their world.
Mm. Very much appreciate that, man, for sure. For sure. It's great to be in your presence. It's great to be connected, and it's great to really be in this mutual exchange of sorts. So I remember, how powerful the portal of Arizona was in January. And I'm really grateful to be here and that you invited me. And I feel really honored to be here.
Thank you so much. And it's just funny too, because we meet in January at this event in Arizona. And now it just happens to be that here we are in August in Arizona with an event coming up this weekend that we're both going to be at. And so it's just full circle. And I really love that. And so
Yeah.
for our listeners, they haven't met you yet. They haven't seen your content. They haven't heard your story. Can you please share with our audience who you are, what led you to do what you do today, what inspired you on your journey, and maybe the lessons that you've learned?
I am excited to share more about my journey and my story, but what I will say is that the intention of this podcast is really about um, having today as the day that you transform, as opposed to tomorrow. And what I will say is that today I'm inviting everyone into a very, very simple assessment, because this is the same assessment that sort of precipitated my story. But there's really only one question that really gets to be answered to really determine if today is the day that you transform your life. Uh, is your life in integrity, or is it out of integrity? That's it. Thank you for having me here. Show's over. That's it. Is it in integrity, or is it out of integrity? For those of you who have the many moving definitions of integrity, I'm going to give you two definitions. Number one, integrity is defined as workability. Does your life work or does it not work? Is it working to the degree that you would have it work? Or is it not working? This is not a moral assessment. It's not an assessment on who you are as a person or your character or anything like that. If I have a car and it's only got two wheels and it's supposed to have four, then it doesn't work. If I am in a relationship that does not amplify who I am in my spirit, my body, and my soul, then it doesn't work. If I'm in my fitness and I'm in a body that does not optimize my internal health and external feeling about myself, then it doesn't work. If I am in a situation where I'm not earning to the degree of which I want to earn, then it doesn't work. I'm not saying that that you need to strive for better if you don't want better. But the idea is that if you're looking to live an extraordinary life and your life is not working to the degree of which you would desire for it to work, then it is not an integrity. And this is an opportunity for you to identify how to get all into alignment and integrity. Because that's what all in stands for.
Mm.
So when you are committed, the idea of being committed, being all in, what are you committed to? Well, living a life in alignment and integrity. And I will tell you that in my journey to this point, that I was not living a life in alignment or integrity. That in my journey, 10 years ago, I was in a rock bottom sandwich. I call it a rock bottom sandwich because I was already at rock bottom, and then rock bottom smashed on top of me. It's like Oreo cookie, and I'm like, I'm the filling.
Yeah.
It's like, I was financially broke, emotionally broken, 2 DUIs, a girlfriend paying the bills, 40 pounds overweight. I mean, I'm literally just lost in the sauce of life. I didn't know, I was a guy who lived from his neck up. I was connected to my heart, but I didn't let it come online. I had walls around it.
Mm.
And, um, and so I was a know-it-all, you know, I was a know-it-all. I was a guy who knew everything. Like, yeah, I know about that, and I know about this, and I know about that, and I know it. And what I didn't realize is that being a know-it-all is defensive posturing for life. It's like, oh yeah, I know it all. I know it all. I know it all. Right? Because there's a difference between knowing and owning. I was not an owner. I wasn't somebody who could see something through from start to completion, execute it, finish it, and get the job done. I wasn't somebody who actually understood who he is, what his actual gifts are, his power is, and was willing to own his strength and to live in it. I wasn't willing to own that I wanted to be a leader in my life and to be, um, certain people who say that they want to increase their visibility, but they don't want to be seen. It's one of the most powerful oxymorons I've ever experienced in life. But so, so there's this, so I was living in all those different paradigms. And the reality is that these were the being broke and the DUIs and all that stuff. Those were results of a man who did not know himself. Those were results of a man who did not know how to make his life work. Those are the results. Those are the outcomes of a man who did not know how to make his life work. And the gateway for me transitioning into this journey, I'd say like a 10-year journey, because 2015 is really like where I would like hit the floor, beginning of 2015. But getting to this point, this 10-year journey to get to where I'm at right now. So going from broken to really like breaking records in every aspect of his life, really, in the way that I help men to step into who they choose to be as leaders in the world, as better husbands, fathers, and leaders, in the storytelling that I do and with on stage and in different events. And I'll tell you more about that. Um, the biggest thing that I had to do was I had to lay down my sword and my shield. I had to lay down my sword and my shield. The defensive posturing was like, oh, I know it all, know it all, know it all, right? It looks like teacher. It's not teacher, right? It looks like uh, it's more like sort of like centurion. You're like more like a security guard. You're blocking the possibility of your own evolution. So I had to lay down my sword and my shield. And then I had to say, no, 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 I'm a student. I've got to become a student. And for whatever reason, whether fortunate or unfortunate, the way that most people become students is when their life is burning down around them. I'm saying this so that there's 1 out of 10 people who will say, you know what? I don't want my life to burn down around me. I actually want to step into transformation when things aren't at their worst. So that's 1 out of 10. It's about 7 out of 10 people will only come to being a student, laying down their sword and their shield when they are literally at the point of breaking. And then for those 2 people who are right in the middle, who are hanging out on the fence, my question to you is why do you like sitting on the fence so much? It should be really painful sitting on the fence. Fences are not really made for seating. So if you're sitting on the fence for your own evolution and you're looking at the 7 people that are not going to come until they literally hit rock bottom, and the 1 person who's like, you know what, I'm a high performer. I'm going to be like, I'm going to change the game, and I'm not going to wait for things to get to where, the worst. Those 2 people who are at the top of the pack, you get to make this the day that today is the day that you transform and you step into your own personal evolution, whatever that means for you.
Beautiful. So wonderfully said. Thank you for sharing that.
For sure, man.
A few things that stood out to me that I wrote down. So first, with integrity, I love that. I didn't know that that's how the all in alignment and integrity. I love that you break it down like that. And so first, when I think of integrity, you mentioned the car. For our listeners, an example that I love to double down on here. When I think of a bridge and I think of a car, what determines if the car can drive over the bridge without the bridge collapsing? The bridge has structural integrity, which me, I define as I can count on it. I can count on it. I can stand on it. It will support me and hold me up. And so in a similar way, for everyone listening, can I count on you in that same way as I can count on the bridge? Can I count on your word? Can I stand on what you've said and base my day, let's say, on that? Oh yeah, I know that Sanyika said he's going to do A, B, and C. So I don't have to think about that. I can now do this stuff over here, knowing it's going to happen because you said it was going to happen. And yet we've all been there in our life at times where we said one thing and something else happened. And then the problem there is what is created in the world, both immediate and far, as a result of you being out of integrity. When other people can't count on you, what happens? What's created as a result of that? Now, what also happens when you can't count on you? What happens when our listeners say, today's the day I'm going to start that new exercise routine. Today's the day I'm going to start that new eating plan. Today's the day I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to take that action I've been wanting to take. And then we live into that story of fear instead of faith. And we buy into, this is why I can't do it. This is why it's not the right time. This is why I'll do it later, some other time, but not now. And as a result of that, like Sanyika said, your life is not working. So with that in mind, my definition of integrity is when what I think, say, and do are all in alignment. And so, it's similar. It's funny, like alignment and then integrity with your all in statement, it works at that definition as well. If what I'm thinking is not reflective of what I say, then I'm out of integrity with myself. Nobody else knows that because they don't know what I'm thinking. But if you ask me to do something and I say yes when I mean no, what's that going to do to my life going forward? What level of maybe resentment am I going to have? I'm going to say I'm resenting you, but I'm actually resenting myself because I was unable to enforce a boundary. I was unable to own that this is not a yes for me. And I find we get in trouble when we say yes when we mean no, or the flip side, we say no when we mean yes. Mm-hmm. And what could happen both in integrity and in alignment if we lived our life from that space of what I think, what I say, and what I do, they all match up. It's like I'm not going one direction in one aspect of what I want and going in a complete opposite direction with my actions. And this idea of what are you committed to? I often think of it as if I'm speaking to everyone listening and I say, I want you to show me your calendar. I want you to show me your bank statement. I want you to show me your daily planner if you have one. Show me how you spend your time and show me how you spend your money, and I will tell you what you're committed to. Because if you were to tell me right now, I'm really committed to A, B, and C, nothing's more important. Show me. Show me where you've actually been using your life energy, your resources towards this goal of yours. And if it's not scheduled, if you do it when you have time, AKA never, or AKA almost never, then it's not going to happen. But again, it's that reflection, like Sanyika said, is my life the way I want it to be in whatever the capacity? If it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not working, why? And this is where our audience, there's like one of two paths that you could take. There might be more, but big picture, at least these two. One is it's not working because all this stuff outside of me. It's not working because of other people or the economy or whatever story you've got going on, the way I was raised, where I was born, whatever else it might be. But the other road you could take is it's not working because I'm not doing the work. It's not working because I'm not doing it right, quote unquote. It's not working because I'm not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing to
Mm-hmm.
create the life that I want. And maybe you do it occasionally, but you're not doing it consistently. And I use this metaphor with clients that if I go to the gym and I work out once for 10 hours straight, I don't get huge, I get sore. But if I work out an hour a day for 10 years, I'm going to get an extremely fit and strong body. It's the consistency that's going to beat the intensity. And so you mentioned being a know-it-all. And I think, I've definitely been there. And I think many of our listeners can relate. And it reminded me of this Zen master story where there's a Zen master and a student. And the student shows up and says, Master, like, I want you to teach me. And the master agrees. But then the student just keeps talking and talking and talking and sharing all the things he already knows. And the master is listening and listening and listening. And the student just keeps going. So the master wants to make a point. So the master gets a cup of tea, an empty cup, puts it on the table in front of the student. And as the student's talking, he just starts pouring the tea. And eventually the cup overflows and now it's spilling everywhere. And the student stops talking and starts freaking out. Whoa, 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 what are you doing? Like, stop. It doesn't fit. There's no room. And the master says, just like this cup, why did you come to learn from me when you're overflowing and so full you've got no room for anything new? And so every one of our listeners, where are you so certain in life that you're right? Where are you so certain that you just know and you've got it figured out, and yet you don't have the result? You don't have the life that you want, but you're certain it's not you. We often get in trouble in that way. I come from this space of, you mentioned know it all versus own it all. And I love the idea that we've all been, let's say, exposed to the idea of a second chance. And I come from a space of believing you have an infinite amount of second chances. As long as you're alive in this moment, you can change. As long as you're alive in this moment, you can choose to be different. You can choose to show up differently. And so the beauty of this conversation, the beauty of the name of the podcast, the transformation starts today. And I think a more accurate statement would be transformation starts now, but transformation starts today. I just like the ring of that more. And so with that in mind, first, there's know thyself. Are you actually in alignment? Do you know who you choose to be? Do you know how you want to show up in this world as a father, a mother, a leader, a friend, a spouse, or whatever the roles that you play? And then once you know thyself, are you being thyself? Are you actually acting and being in alignment with who you say that you are? And if you're not, that's that know it all versus own it all. Like, do you actually own your life? And then the last two things I have here is, you mentioned about being stuck. So I said a question everyone can ask themselves: how am I keeping myself stuck at this level? Whatever level it is that you're experiencing right now that you're not really happy with. How am I keeping myself stuck at this level? What am I unwilling to do? Or what have I been unwilling to do up until this point? What's my story about that? Why? What could be possible if I acted differently? I come from a space of, you have input and you have output. If you don't like the output, you have to change the input. But the moment you change the input, you guarantee change the output. It's just how it works. And so if you take the ownership, where am I creating the stuckness? What have I been unwilling to do? And if you come from that space and you shift who you're being, it's pretty incredible what can happen. And you mentioned being on the fence. And I'm reminded of a quote from a coach named Steve Chandler, where he said, "When are you going to stop living like you're never going to die?" And I just thought that was so powerful, because the fence sitters, not only they're getting a pretty nasty bruise or a cut, but at the same time, they're living as if they've got time. And the thing is, I do hope that you have all the time that you want. And at the same time, I think every one of us knows somebody who left this earth sooner than we would have liked. And if we come from that space of, I often ask people, how much time do you have left? And the answer is the same for everyone. I don't know. And because you don't know, what are you doing about this moment right now that you have, this gift, this present that is this present moment? And if you don't act from that space of, I have today, I might not have tomorrow, there won't be that urgency. There won't be a reason to act now, because you could always do it later. But the thing is, later, tomorrow becomes today. You say, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow never happens. And so with that being said, I'll throw it back to you if there's anything you'd like to share. But thank you so much for just inspiring all that.
For sure, man. I love that. I love that you're a note taker. I'm an avid note taker. I love that. Is there stuff that I want to reflect on that? Yeah, for sure. Here's a way that I would say that I process whether or not my life is working. There's another, again, the I look at the lens of integrity through two lenses: the workability, does it work or does it not work? And both of these definitions are adopted from Werner Erhard and his work on integrity.
Yeah.
And the second one is honoring your word. And the full definition I give to all my my clients and anyone that I work with is that integrity means honoring your word, which includes keeping your word. And in the event that you are human, you do not do what you say that you are going to do, that you are honorable enough and accountable enough to acknowledge what you said, apologize if you caused any harm, and create a new agreement to which you will commit to emphatically. That's the full definition I give.
Yeah.
And um, so the idea is that, this conversation around integrity, like it can be really triggering, because many people weaponize integrity, as they use it as a weapon. It's like, you're not doing what you said you were going to do. You're not doing what, you like yielding it against someone. Using it as an agent of assigning blame for individuals. My offering is that, especially because of the fact that I deal in masculine leadership, is that my primary intention is to be a grounding presence in every place that I go, right? And to do that, I have to be a grounding presence in my own soul.
Yeah.
So the first place that I get to find integrity, I get to find that idea of creating workability, is about who I want to be. The structural aspect of that bridge. What's the bridge made out of? And so when I start, when I talk to guys, like, one of the things I tell guys is that I have 5 primary pillars in my life that hold up the roof of my life, hold up my bridge. They are my faith, they are my family, they are my fitness, they are my finances, and they are my fulfillment, which is your sense of purpose, your mission, your vision, your purpose. So those are all pillars, like columns that hold up a roof. They're all in the same house. It's one roof. And for some reason, we make it seem like these pillars are in different homes in like a geographical area.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I can take care of the finances, the money, and I can take care of my, I'll look at the family pillar, but the fitness pillar, man, that's at the gym. I'm like, nah, dude, they're all holding up the same roof. They're all holding up the roof of your house. What would happen if you did not tend to a pillar that was holding up the roof of your home? My brother, the roof would collapse. Right. So what I must do is I must understand literally what I'm tending to. So what am I tending to? I'm tending to these pillars of my life. And then I get to look at these pillars, and you can do an assessment, again, personal assessment, scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. Where are you at in all of those pillars? Where are you at in your faith? I'll give you a perfect example. There's a significant amount of people who do not operate with a deepened sense of faith. All right. Faith brings up the conversation about religion. Many people have adverse reactions when it comes to the conversation about religion, especially if you bring up the idea of God. Right. So, what I used to do is people ask me if I believe in God, and I would get triggered because I'd be like, "Are you trying to see if I'm like? Does that mean if I'm, Christian or anything like that or whatever like that?" I'll, speak to my personal faith in a moment. But I was like, people be like, do you believe in God? Or do you believe in this? Or do you believe in that? And I'd be like, well, you know, um, it's been a perplexing question for me for a really long period of time. I'm 45 now. I'll be 45 in November. My son, my 13-year-old son, he, as a 13-year-old, he can be defensive, in his way of being. And when I ask him a difficult question, he'd be like, well, I don't know. I don't know. And what I told him is I said, when you say, I don't know, you know what that means? It means I'm scared and I'm giving away my power. So when you say, I don't know, that means I'm scared and I'm giving away my power. So I'd ask him a question. He'd be like, I don't know. And I'm like, what are you scared of? Right. So, he doesn't say, I don't know anymore. He says something different sometimes, but it's not, I don't know. So the, so, so somebody asked me one time about, if I believe in God, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, right. I was like, yeah, I'm scared and I'm giving away my power. Um, I came to this realization about a deepened desire to have faith. I realized this. When you ask someone what their faith is, what they believe in, and they say, I don't know is not faith. There's no religion called I don't know. There's no faith-based practice called I don't know. So the question is, what do you believe in? And then people default to the fact that they don't know because they're afraid to get into a deeper conversation about what God actually is or what it means. I don't want to be like them, and I don't want to be like those Christians, and I don't want to be like those people who do those things and do those mean things in the world and everything like that. And it's like, well, I don't know. And then that becomes your whole way of being. It's like, and the default mechanism is like, well, I'm either, non-religious or I'm spiritual or whatever like that. But the reality is that most people don't necessarily have any aspect in terms of what their faith-based philosophy is, like what their philosophy is. A driving philosophy on faith. Faith is two things. It is your belief in your creator and your belief in yourself. And so if you do not know who you are and you don't know who your creator is, whose you are, then that's the first place to start. Who you are and whose you are. You didn't just fucking come here. I love everybody listening here, but I'm calling all of you stupid sons of bitches because you don't know. You didn't just fucking come here. You didn't just like walk up on this planet. You were created somehow, some way. So how did you get here? Where did you come from? Who got you here? Whose are you? Some people don't even know the direct answer to that question. I am the son of Diane Eileen Street and William Donnell Street. That's the first place I came from my mother and my father. And then beyond that, the ultimate creator. I am a son of God. I am God's pencil, God's canvas, God's masterpiece. Personally, I'm Christian. And here's the thing. I'm not even saying that you got to subscribe to what I believe in, but you for sure have to define what you believe in. You ain't got to walk down the path I'm walking down. But for sure, you don't get to have an out when it comes to your faith. Who are you? Whose are you? Those are really paramount questions for people, because when we start to get into this question about purpose, the purpose question ends up being this rabbit hole unfolding the fact that we haven't created definition in these critical areas of our lives. We haven't created meaning. So you don't have a driving philosophy on your faith. You don't have a driving philosophy on how you operate. So at the core is the faith pillar, right? And so the part that I had to go all in on to this really beautiful thing. You can actually combine two pillars in one if you really want to get jiggy with it. So here's the way it works, is that for me, the way that I combine the way that I speak deeply, my religious practice, all of that. I go to church, but there's another church that I go to every day, and that's the motherfucking gym. I go to church every day, and I honor my fitness. I honor my faith and my fitness. My belief in myself is exponentially increased as a result of going to church every day. I go to church every day. I wake up at 3:55 in the morning. I'm in church by 4:15. I'm on that Stairmaster, and I'm in my workout by about 4:30 to 4:35. I honor my fitness. Now then people hear fitness, and then the triggers start coming up. Well, I don't have the resources or the time or whatever. And then people hear about, the time I wake up, and they think it's about, like being impressive or anything like that. I'm like, look, I got kids. I used to wake up like a waiter, like most people do. Most people wake up as waiters and waitresses. They wake up in service of somebody else. They wake up and they go, oh, I got to feed the kids and get the lunches ready and get the stuff ready and get the things ready and do all the things. And I got to get the dogs out and take the things. I wake up in service of everybody else, but you don't wake up in service of yourself. I give a shit about me. I tell people, dude, my family does not come first. My sanity comes first. Before my family, my sanity. So I must honor myself. So I get my black ass up and I go to the fucking gym and I work out. Now, why do I work out? I'm not trying to get a fucking summer six pack. I don't give a shit about that. Like, I'm not trying to get a summer six pack. I've been in a deep, intense training regimen for the past year plus. I go to work out with my trainer. First day, he's like, obvious. I've always been big guy, but like not as big as I am right now. But he was like, first day, he was like, he's like, obviously, you know a lot about lifting. I said, no, I don't. No, I don't. I know nothing. I'm here to learn. I know nothing. Teach me. That's it. And then he's like, all right. He's like, and he's shocked, because most people would have just been like talking about what they knew. I was like, look, I'm here to learn, dude. And then he's like, yeah, we're going to change your nutrition and we're going to get you in this 12-week program and we're going to do this whole thing. And I said, oh, you're going to put me in a 12-week program. I said, all right. And you want me to change up my nutrition and, the way I eat and how I eat and reason I eat and food is fuel and this whole, this whole concept. I said, and we're going to do that in 12 weeks. He said, yeah. I was like, dude, I said, thank you for that. But we're going to have to do this for a year. He's like, what? I was like, dude, I said, you want me to change up my nutrition? You want me to get in the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning? I mean, not you, I'm choosing into it, but I'm like, I'm getting in the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning, changing my nutrition. I'm doing all this stuff. And then what's going to happen after 12 weeks? I said, now you might have something else, but I'm just letting you know. We're going to have to do this for a year, me and my wife. I said, let me explain something to you. I'm different than other people. I'm not wired like other people. Everybody else is trying to get the fuck out of a program. I'm creating a way of life. Just send me the bill. I'll take care of it. I'm not trying to get out of something. I'm trying to create new ways and level up my leadership in ways that other people don't. That's my mission. That's my intention. So the thing is that when I go and I step into this new place, because what's happening is I'm leveling up my leadership and my faith is increasing in myself. So I get to put my faith in practice through my fitness. I improve the way that I show up. I increase my vibration. It makes me a better husband. It stills my nervous system. It helps regulate my nervous system. It does all of these beautiful things. And I lift heavy weights. And I'm usually the biggest person in any room that I walk into. That's generally the case, but the thing is that the fitness that people see from from the muscle that people see from people on me is the opposite of the rock bottom dude. Because that dude was broken, he was broken. But this guy is like, look, I'm breaking records every day. So my intention is to show up as a model of what I teach. It is to be the specimen. It is to be the model for what it is that I discuss, for what it is that I share. And so that's the intention in this. So I just up my vibration. I'm playing a game that most people would never even realize that I'm playing. And that's the beautiful part about stepping in, for me at least, when it comes to going all in. But those first two pillars, your faith and your fitness, really, really critical ones to really get the game going.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. And that last part you just said for our audience, I want to make sure I pinpoint this. So Sanyika is playing a game. Now, that game is available to every one of us. And so some people might listen, and for whatever the reason, they might try to justify the way their life is by saying, well, Sanyika can do that for all these reasons, but I can't. And then they've got their story. But my invitation for you is, A, how long are you going to hold on to that story that's not serving you and not creating the results that you want? And B, what could be possible if you actually played that game? And how would you know? You wouldn't until you did it. And you could always go back to living the life that's not working. But what if you just tried? And when I say try, I make a distinction here between, so for our Star Wars fans, there's that Yoda quote where he says, do or do not, there is no try. I think there is a place for try. And I think about it like this. You've got outcome and you've got effort. When it comes to outcome, if I tell you, you say, are you going to win the marathon on Saturday? I'm going to try. I can't really say yes to that. If I did, it's just like a pump up thing, but like I can't actually say yes to that. I can try. Somebody else just might be a better runner that day than me. But am I going to run every morning from 6:15 to 7? Yes, it's a yes or no. So when it comes to effort, there's no try. You do it or you don't. But when it comes to outcome, yeah, there's try there. And so as it relates to playing this game, there's a Mark Cuban quote where he says, all you can control is effort. And if you actually bring yourself and throw yourself completely into life, into the moment, and you actually give it everything you had, it's truly, you're going to astonish yourself with what you create. You mentioned something that inspired this in me, this idea that before you try to, let's say, save the world, clean your room, clean your house. Like start with the immediate environment, like whatever's going on around you. If the world doesn't seem to be workable from your point of view, and you think that needs to change, but your own life isn't workable and you're kind of giving that a pass, you always got to start here. It always starts with you. And so to Sanyika's point, I use this kind of visual analogy of, I'm holding up a thermos for those who are on YouTube and rather the audios and can't see me. Imagine you have this thermos and the thermos represents what you have to give. And so it starts off full. And then people come out and they want help and you want to serve them. It could be family, it could be customers, clients, whoever it might be, community. And you give and you give and you give. And then you feel thirsty and you go to get a sip, but then those hands come back out and they want more. And so you stop and then you give and you give and you give. And at some point, everyone's different, but at some point, this thermos is right at the end. You only got a couple drops left. And you are so dehydrated, metaphorically at this point, that you go and you try to chug it and a drop or two comes out. And now you have none left for you. And more people come wanting, they want from you. And now because you gave, almost like you became a martyr, then at that point, your giving is now limited because now you can't give what you don't have. But if we come from the space of, you know what, I'm going to put myself first, which isn't selfish, it's the most selfless thing you can do. And by putting yourself first, in Sanyika's words, like your sanity, but by putting yourself first, by making sure all your ducks are in a row, making sure your home, your temple is ready to go, making sure that you are that grounding presence. Not everybody around you, if needed, they can rely on you. They can count on you. You don't need from them because you've given it all to yourself. So at that point, now you can truly be of service. And using this thermos metaphor again, now it's like you can give forever because you give from the overflow.
Mm-hmm.
When you give from the overflow, there's no end to it. But if you're giving, thinking that giving to yourself is selfish and that's somehow bad, I strongly encourage you to rethink that, because I think you're holding yourself back in a way that you'll astonish yourself once you make the shift, if you choose to do it, when you look back and go, wow, I used to act that way. And what was it costing me? And so with that in mind, Sanyika, you spoke a lot about the work you do with men. Could you please share, what does true masculine leadership look like for you?
Mm. I'll give you a few words that that come up to me and first, but the first one is audacity.
Mm.
First word that comes up is audacity. The audacity to be fully expressed as a man. Period. Like the audacity. Um, Integrity is one. Like to be reliable. The the definition of true masculine leadership is this. And then I want to give you another this other turn on integrity from another perspective about playing the game. So true meaning real or authentic. Leadership is ownership. Right? Leadership is initiation and it is ownership. It is going first and owning, uh, owning process from start to completion. Right. So for me, a good way to a value that I ascribe to leadership is radical responsibility. Right. If I there's responsibility that most people believe that they have, is like I'm responsible for this thing or doing this thing or this thing or whatever. And I tell them, I say, you know why it's called radical responsibility? I say, why? I'm like, because I also own the impact of what happens as well. I'm also owning the impact of it. So like, your feelings, you can't make someone feel the way that you want them, that you can't make someone feel a certain way. Like, yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. Um, I'm owning the fact that what I say and what I do has an impact on people. And it is my job to be in the tending of it. Right. So um, so I'm not taking on what they feel. I'm just tending to it. So I tend to those things. So leadership is ownership. But what is masculine? Here's where the thing gets really fucking tricky, right? So it's like, what is masculine? What does masculine mean? Masculine is like, I got like a beard and I got like a mustache and I got a cigar and I got all this other stuff. Like, man, whatever. So there's a gender assignment with a plug and an outlet on the wall. Have you ever seen it? Like, you know what they are? The outlet on the wall, what the gender assignment is on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the female. So the gender assignment with a plug is the male, right? So in the US, plug has how many prongs?
2 to 3 if it's grounded.
2 to 3, right? So generally speaking, it's two. However, it has three. Third plug, it's called the grounding, right? So why is the plug grounding? Like why is a grounded plug even in existence?
If too much electricity comes through, it can fry the system.
Boom, right? Because they can fry the system. So if you have something very expensive, do you put it in a 2-prong outlet or a 3-prong outlet?
3 prong.
3-prong. Got it. Why? Because it's more trustworthy. It's more reliable. It can handle the wattage. Masculine means grounded. Grounded. Here's the thing. Everything that you want to create in your home and in your life has to operate from a space of trust and safety. And if you have not been able to cultivate an environment where trust and safety exist inside of you and inside of your home, where you can't handle the wattage, the storm of life, of your woman, of your kids, of the chaos, whatever is happening, that is where you get to come into the awareness of the deepening your grounding. You're trying to, at a foundational level, what we are looking to do is to create an environment that works so that we can create every possibility. But what some people are doing is they're trying to create possibilities, but they haven't been able to create an environment of safety and trust. So if you haven't been able to create an environment of safety and trust within yourself or within your relationship with your partner, then this is a really important area that you get to step into awareness around. So when I talk about true masculine leadership, the intention is that men understand really what it takes to be grounded in their leadership, to be grounded, to be really grounded, not like, phony, like, these archetypes about what it means to be a man and all that other kind of stuff and all that alpha bull stuff. I'm like, look, man, I ain't never met no alpha who goes real leader who goes around calling himself an alpha. But the bottom line is that, look, but the king is the highest service position in the land. And that dude takes radical responsibility when obviously when it is optimal and most effective, but that do take radical responsibility for the governance of the land. And my invitation is for men primarily, but really men to step into the idea and into that archetype of king, like really what it means to be a king. And subsequently, from a women's perspective, like everyone must understand how to effectively create a kingdom that works. And everybody's got to play a part. And I know people get triggered by having roles. And I'm just letting you know that part of the reason that there's so much chaos and everything that happens in your home is because you don't have a role. You don't know what your job description is. You don't know what you're supposed to do. You don't know what the expectations are. You don't know how it's supposed to work. There's a lack of function. There's a lack of order. That's where the chaos comes in. And so the intention in terms of the work that I do, especially with guys who are CEOs and business owners, is that they've been tending to the finance pillar, tending to that little column. And that column is actually not the center column. It's just the column on the left. And what happens is on the columns on the right is the fitness column, the faith column, and the family column. And those columns that are over there, those ones are starting to the wood is starting to rot, and the roof is starting to collapse. And the only time that many guys actually come out of there is they go, oh, so they go, babe, why are you leaving? She's like, the roof's about to collapse. I'm not staying in this house no more. You haven't been tending to the pillars. So I mean, look, I mean, we gonna have to we either gonna have to fix this thing, or something gonna have to change, right? So that's at the core of the work that I do. It's really like really helping men to step into a deeper level of their emotional intelligence without losing their masculinity and and amplifying who they get to be in this world.
Yeah. Yeah. Two words that you used, audacity and responsibility, especially with that last part with, why are you leaving? Well, because the roof's going to collapse. You haven't been tending to it. If I tie that to responsibility, I love just breaking it up into two words. It's the ability to respond and bringing it full circle to the beginning of our conversation. Is your life the way that you want it to be right now in each of the different areas? And if the answer is no, it's not working. So in a similar way, you have the ability to respond differently than you've been responding, and that will shift the output because the responding differently is the input. Mm-hmm. And so if everyone listening just takes that evaluation that Sanyika suggested, 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst, each of the areas, where are you right now and where do you want to be? And what needs to change is you. Like, that's always the answer because it's your life.
No judgment, no judgment, no, none.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I always tell people there's no shame, blame, or guilt here. There's just your life is the way it is right now and you don't like it. So let's do something about it. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, you also mentioned audacity. And what came to mind for me is one of the ways I choose to approach life and that I recommend our listeners try on. Not saying it's the way, but it's a way. And it's a way that has served me and people I've worked with very well. I choose to show up unapologetically as myself with love, namaste, and aloha in my heart. And so, just to define some of those terms, these are my own definitions of some of these. When I think of love, for me, I have a more of a poetic definition of love. And when I think of love, it's when I look into your eyes, I'm home. In your presence, I experience God. And so for me, that's what I mean when I come from love. Now, namaste, the definition of namaste that I'm familiar with, that I love so much, people think of namaste as a greeting, almost like a hello. It can be used that way, but a deeper meaning. My soul honors your soul. I honor the place within you where the entire universe resides. I honor the light, love, peace, beauty, and truth within you because it's also within me. In sharing these things, we are united. We are the same. We are one. And when I think of aloha, aloha basically means namaste, to keep it simple. And so with that in mind, if I show up unapologetically as myself with those things in mind, being those three things, which again are basically one and the same, being that in my embodiment, I'm going to be respectful both to myself and others. I'm going to show up for people in service, but first and foremost, I'm taking care of me so I can take care of everybody else. I remember Jim Rohn, there was a big personal development guy, and he had this video that I saw a while back, and it's coming to mind, where he said, in relationship, I'm going to take care of me for us, and I ask you to take care of you for us.
Mm.
And this idea that by me, like you said, if I take care of me first, like, so if I'm in the home, like you said, and I've not been tending to the pillars, and it's like the roof is coming down, the kids are kind of rowdy, they're not taken care of, the finances are falling apart, nothing's going well, and I'm freaking out and I'm not grounded. Well, am I not grounded because I haven't been taking care of me first? And do I not have the sanity? Do I not have the bandwidth? Because I haven't given to myself first. So I can't pour from the empty cup.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can take care of that, you go first. And then from that space, everything in your life, dramatically improves. And so those
Mm.
are two things that came to mind. And given what you mentioned about kings, what does it mean to you when you're with a man to bring forth the king that's inside of him out?
Dude, just I got chills just thinking of that. You as an invitation to women to pull to to pull the king out in him, right? Um, there's so much damage that's been done in the context of relationship, you know, and so much misconstrued information and misguided information, all those different things. And I will just tell you that this is like the core of my work is really about mending and healing hearts. Like I come from an environment where my mother was the masculine presence in our home. She was the grounding presence. And she was living in chaos to the best of her degree. She was doing her best to create structure and environment and all that other kind of stuff. But it was challenging raising 4 kids by herself, and doing it. And she did an extraordinary job with the resources that she had. And I lost my father when I was 7, and I lost him because he left. He was gone, and he, and so the that separation, that the separation, the wound that lived in me, and that informed the way that I moved in the world. I lived in a significant amount of chaos as a teenager. I lived in a significant amount of chaos in my own mind as a teenager, and it was rough. And I created a really like volatile environment for my mom, in my own rebellion and trying to figure out what was going on and who I was and all these other different things. And I couldn't figure it out. I could not figure it out, man. I just couldn't. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm so grateful that that the people who came for me, who saw the king in me, who saw the leader in me, who saw the gift in me, And by the grace of God, man, those people came and they said, I see something in you. There's a quote from Les Brown. He says, sometimes you need to believe in somebody else's belief in you until your belief is strong enough to kick in. And I've had that happen many times in my life. And at the core, I mean, I'm all about like elevating and amplifying and high performance, but at the core of it, man, it's about belief, you know. And I deeply believe in the people that, I believe in you. I believe in your ability to extend your mission into the world and to do great work and to do work that really impacts the quality of people's lives. Right. And I honor that. And I really think that it's really more important. Like people talk about like, like the coaching world is saturated. And I'm like, no, dude, like you just it's not a small world. You just need more Facebook friends. You just don't have the right group of people around you. Like, it's not saturated. The world is not saturated. It just needs your unique ability. What unique ability people think is that I got to do something different, and then I go, no, 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 no. What the world needs is your audacity, your audaciousness, your boldness. And so for me, my journey to audaciousness and boldness has been really like the greatest upheaval in my own life. You know, I had this vision that the movement that I was going to create for men was going to be based in, you know, like this, like the, there's this archetype of me is like a boot camp instructor, you know, and for sure, that's for sure me. For sure. Like, make no mistake about it. Like, that's definitely, an aspect of myself. But I was living between two worlds. So there's like the boot camp instructor who's built this business helping men and all this other kind of stuff. And then there's the aspect of me that's unfulfilled and that's unexpressed. And that's the artist in me. And so what God said is that, so what I was doing is I wasn't tending to the fulfillment, the gift, because the gift is God. I didn't get the gift from God. Like the gift is God. So what I was doing is I was stifling that gift and I was saying, I'm going to focus on building the business in my mind because I'm like, this is the way you need to build it. You got to look the part and be the part and all that other kind of stuff. And I said, but here's the thing, Sanyika, this is my conversation with myself, by the way, and God. So I said, God said, no, you're getting it wrong. The way you think it's supposed to look is not the way it's going to look. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm getting to talking to. God's like, sit down and shut the fuck up. All right. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop building this thing the way you're building it. And you're going to focus on amplifying the gift that lives within you, the God that lives within you. And you're going to focus on amplifying your voice as an artist. I said, what? It's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I've got to like scale my business. I can get do all these things. Like, no, here's the way it's gonna work. You're gonna sit down and you're gonna amplify the artist in you because that is your gift to the world. It's your voice. I gave you these things. Use them. So I'm going through, so I'm pausing some programs that we have, focusing on my individual clients over the course of this year. This has been ever since we met in January. And it was like, look, just listen to this voice. You're going to focus on this piece that you did called the N word. You're going to amplify that. You're going to put that out. And then you're going to revolutionize what it means to tell people the story about themselves through your artistry. And you're just going to listen to the nudges and follow the nudges and follow the nudges and follow the nudges. And so that's been the deepening of my work. That's been me tending to the pillars. No one is free of tending to the pillars. And so for me, I've decided to step into being the most powerful storyteller in the world in the way that I do it. and the unique way that I do it. And as a family, we have a philosophy is that we want to be a family that changes the game and that makes a difference. And and for me, what Katie was talking about, she said, as a speaker, she said, I'll go into these conferences and it's thousands of people or whatever, and I'll see the speakers on stage and people will come in, and she said, but no one does what you do. you know she says no one does what you do. She's like, you are innovation. And just speaking to your point, that's my wife inspiring the king in me. Right. So I've decided to amplify that, and to amplify the performances that I do, amplify the spoken word storytelling that I do, amplify the music and the present and just the whole show of it, and to turn it into this extraordinary experience, and to allow that to be something that um, that honors the gift that lives in me, that is God, so that I can allow it to be an agent of transformation and then let it create what it creates.
Yeah. What I think you do such a wonderful job embodying and reflecting out to everybody else is you embody what's written on your shirt, that you're living all in. And the moment you realize there's more you could do, you do it. And so you come from that space of living all in. And by doing that, you inspire everyone else around you to realize they could do that too. And I think that's so unbelievable. And so as we wrap up, Sanyika, if our conversation today was your last opportunity to share what's on your heart, what's on your soul with our listeners, what do you want to make sure you leave them with?
Um, whether you have determined in your life if something is working or is not working, I just want to let you know that there's nothing wrong with you. It just means that something is not in order. If a conductor is driving a train and the train doesn't work, it's not a statement about the conductor. It just says the train doesn't work. So the conductor gets out of the compartment, goes to the engine, and just fixes the engine. But they don't say, I'm a stupid jackass son of a whatever, and they start talking about themselves and the fact that the train isn't working, right? Your internal dialogue is going to govern the way that your ability to get that train into a working order. So I'm just saying this because whatever dialogue has been existing inside of your mind as a result of this conversation, you get to stop it right now. And you get to be in the deepest honoring of the fact that you are a human having a human experience, and you've just gotten to this point. And now, from whatever point that you are at, that you can be powerfully equipped to take your life to extraordinary levels if you simply choose to go all in on the person who's driving the train. That's it.
Yes, it is. How can our listeners connect with you, work with you, learn more about you? Anything that you'd like to share?
Um, Go to Instagram at the All In CEO. You can go to the website, theallinceo.com. Hit me up on Facebook. Shoot me an email. Send me a smoke signal. We'll see. Whichever works the best. Come and see me live. I have a set of shows that I'll be doing throughout the end of the year, and speaking engagements too. So, yeah, I'm around. Come and check me out.
Right when you said smoke signals, I imagined the bat signal, but it says all in.
I
Um,
actually like that. I actually think that that's the jam. I need to
yeah.
get that done.
And so for everyone listening, thank you so much for your time, your attention, your energy, for being here. I don't take that lightly. If this has been enjoyable for you, first of all, please share it far and wide. Even if you shared it with a single person, the ripple effect it could have is massive. Sanyika mentioned earlier that Les Brown quote, sometimes you got to get somebody else's belief in you and believe that before your belief is strong enough to like sustain itself. In that same way, the purpose of a conversation like this, of every episode I've done up until this point. Sanyika and I believe in you. And we're speaking just soul to soul right now, but we're speaking to you. And so what if you take everything that you've experienced today, listen to it multiple times, drive it into yourself, and then actually apply, actually show up differently, go all in, get off the fence, all the things we talked about. Your whole life will change before you know it. And if you can leave a testimonial, a review, if it's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, comment, whatever it is, helps the algorithm, helps more people figure out that we're here, and it helps people get their life helped. And so, Sanyika, before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share?
A tremendous feeling of gratitude. Tremendous feeling of gratitude. Yeah, I love what you're doing.
Thank you very much. And so I have named this show Transformation Starts Today, because I have found that most people's favorite day to change their life is tomorrow. And that's why they stay stuck. But you, the one listening right now, you can be different. You can choose from this moment forward. You have this second chance. There's things you are aware of now that you weren't aware of when you started this conversation. I recommend, again, go back, listen again, and then just make today 1% different than it was yesterday. Tweak those inputs, and you'll astonish yourself with the output change. All my love to you and your families. Sanyika, thank you again for your presence and for being here, and wishing everyone the best. Take care. Thank you for being with us today. If this conversation served you, it would mean a lot if you left a review and shared this with anyone who may benefit. An extraordinary life without regret is available to you now. Choose it. It's your time.